And we are live. So we just got off a live where we read the police affidavit released today. We released it right on our Facebook page. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm the one who released the very first full copy of it. There was some other copies floating around on Facebook of screenshots of portions of the affidavit, but we received the affidavit at about 1 o'clock today with the media packet, and the media packet had other paperwork in it. We went over some of that paperwork. You can get that. Yeah, I got all kinds of questions coming in via text right now. We're going to open the phone lines up and let you tell us what you think now that you've seen the affidavit. If you just came over from Jay's live, had 100 people, couple hundred people, 500 people watching over there, that we have read the affidavit, so we know that the affidavit is out. Do you know how long Chris was gone from the home? Wasn't he working until he came home to Megan saying she delivered her baby? Was that several days or just a day? That timeline, I'm a little lost. So I had a question come in. It looks like that he wasn't. She left on the 12th, and on the 13th, sometime, or late the 13th or late the 12th. No, she was gone for a day. So she spent the night somewhere with that baby. You listening? She spent the night somewhere between the 12th and the 13th, because it was on the 13th. It's a little confusing on that, but we can go back and look at that. But no, she was gone, and then when she got home on the 13th. You clarified a lot during Jay's live. Thank you. Yeah, because people want to take the affidavit and they want to pull it apart, when you got to understand that this is just a small portion of what they have. This is the stuff they got. A lot of what we got from the affidavit is what we got from them before they had actually found anything, because they broke down the different dates. I'm eating some Sour Patch Kids. I hope that doesn't bother y'all. So the affidavit clears some things up. It opens some new scenarios. If I read the affidavit as dad with the phone, as I have read it, it is making more sense that there are two people in custody. The affidavit was just to get the search warrant. The affidavit actually is the events leading up to the search warrant. They actually didn't get the search warrant until they got on premises. That's what's crazy. They entered the house on the premise that there was a baby in there and they needed to protect that baby. They didn't even have a search warrant when they entered the house. They were interviewing her out back. We saw the pictures. They were interviewing her out back. All the time, that officer, that Texas Ranger, he could smell a decomposing body. So that affidavit leads us up to the arrest. They got more info. They got more info for sure. The cousin could be underage. A couple of things. Let's talk about the second person for a second. Please help me understand what the whole MF is going to the beach thing is relevant. Confusion. Because that's what she told them. Has nothing to do with it. It's relevant. That's the story she told Chris why she was leaving on the 12th. That's the story that she told law enforcement, that she was going to the beach on the 12th with her cousin. The truth is, they have phone pings of her headed towards Austin. They have video surveillance of a car matching her description in the apartment complex at 9:05-ish, 90 something ish, 9:08-ish, 9:05-ish. On the day Heidi Broussard goes missing, they have a license plate reader that puts her car headed to Austin. They have an eyewitness that puts her at 60 to 70% in the back of the apartment complex with a woman matching the description of Heidi Broussard and an infant wearing a knit cap get into the back of a car described as Megan's car. They describe the witness. The witness says she got out of the passenger side door, which then implies to all of us that there was a driver of that vehicle. Let's talk about that, because there are a lot of speculations on where we could go with this. She could have been there to take her to coffee. They could have simply been, she could have said, hey, I got my baby with me. Come down here and see the baby. I actually think that there could be more to this story. And let me explain to you what could have happened. One, if Megan wasn't driving her car, who was? Because this is her car, but she got out of the passenger side. Heidi willingly gets into the vehicle, but the MFer then gets back into what I can only assume is the car on the passenger side. The affidavit is not clear that there are two people occupying that vehicle outside of Megan. The affidavit's not clear. The affidavit does say that the witness states she gets in the car and the car was gone quicker than they could have buckled that baby in. I got you. I got to open up why it shouldn't be. Let me go to my Gmail. People are trying to download the affidavit. They're saying they can't download it. I'm gonna open it. Let me see. Share. Advanced. Oh, change. Public. Anyone with the link. Save. That should work. Should be open. Let me see if that does it. Done. Let me see. I'm just trying to open this. People are trying to get the link. I'm going to put the link. Share. Anyone can edit. Copy link. Here's the link to the full unredacted PDF. If you need that, there you go. Put that in your browser. That'll take you straight to my Google Drive. You can download the PDF version. This is the version they sent out to the media today. I was able to get the media packet on this stuff. And, we got some connections. Hey, can you give us the rundown of what it said? Yeah, we're going to I'm kind of going through it, because now that I've read it with someone, I had someone read it to me. I had them read me a bedtime story tonight. Bedtime story was the affidavit. So you can download that affidavit right there, the full Google Doc. You should be able to pull it right out of my Google Drive. Done. You should be able to find that, no problem. The affidavits, there's a lot of good information on it, but it's not everything. There's some. Let me tell you this. There's some some bombshells, and one of the bombshells is, so on the 19th. So this is all happening live, real time. I was actually live videoing during this time. We were talking about different things. We were watching videos come out of them flying around the house. They had gone up. We saw video of them interacting with Megan, but we also knew that there was something going on at the Target with a black SUV. Turns out they're running helicopter video surveillance of this house of Megan. They're staying at a distance. They see Chris Green leave the house and go to Target. He goes to Target. He buys baby formula, some baby clothes, and as he's coming out of the Target, Texas Rangers, they don't apprehend him. As he's exiting Target, before he gets to his car, they stop him for question. They begin to question him. They have a conversation with him where they get quite a bit of information from Chris, but they sum it up in the affidavit. They don't give us all the information, but they do quote. They made sure to put a quote in the police affidavit, which would then lead to them getting the warrant. They put a perfect. They put a quote in this police affidavit. They show him a picture that was created by the missing persons people, by the missing persons, and out there with Margot and Heidi on it. And when they show the picture of Margot, at some point in that conversation, at some point, his reaction to that picture, it may not have been the complete statement, but they quote him in saying, "That's the baby at my house." Now, we don't know if he said, "That's my baby. That's the baby at my house." We don't know if he said, "Oh my goodness, that's baby with Megan. That's the baby at our house." We don't know the emotion. We don't know how he expressed what he said, because they quoted in text as him saying, "That's the baby at my house." And this is when they're talking to him at Target. He then goes on to tell them the story. It's kind of a mix between the summary of the story he tells and the story of Megan, because then, so they take that information that they get from him. They take the information that they get directly from Chris in front of the Target. They take that along with other information they have of Megan's cell phone, of Megan's video of her car there, of an eyewitness that they had come in and look at a lineup and point out MFer. And they say, okay, now we have enough info to approach MFer. So now they're sitting out. The FBI is out in front of the house. Texas Rangers are out in front of the house. The Texas Rangers see MFer come out of the house with a cell phone and what appears to be a baby monitor. They approach her. They begin to speak with her. They ask her questions about where she was at on the 12th, when she had her baby, how all that went down. Now listen, she tells them one thing, right? She tells them, "I had my baby on this day." She also tells them, "I went to the beach on this day." So there was this confusion going on, not only in Megan's story, but in Chris's story, because Chris says she goes to the beach. She comes home the next day with a baby. Megan says she goes to the beach, but she comes home with the baby. She doesn't know the place where she doesn't know the name of the birthing center where she has the baby. She provides information that nobody was in the room with her when she had the baby except for the birthing center staff. Some juicy nuggets coming out of this affidavit to understand what is going on in this crazy woman's head. Now, here's the kicker on that conversation. That conversation happens on the back porch of her house. They go around back. They're sitting on the back porch of the house with the Texas Ranger officer on one side, Megan on another, and a few feet yards away is Megan's car. The backyard, there's a stench in the air. The police officers say as soon as they were on the property, they could smell the stench of a decomposing body. And so they're having this conversation. The warrant, the ink is still fresh. They've recovered the baby because of CPS comes and takes the baby because the baby shows some signs of jaundice. And so with jaundice, they can treat that by special lighting, special care. They use the baby as an infant to get that baby away from her. Because right now, she's demanding that this is my baby. She's saying, this is my baby. Talk to Chris. He knows I was pregnant. Talk to them. They know I was pregnant. She had laid out this plan. People had testified. Her lawyer, her own lawyer that was going to represent her had already gone on the news and said so all of this stuff there, she's put this whole thing together. She's masterminded this idea that I'm pregnant on the same timeline as Heidi. And then very quickly after Heidi gives birth, she disappears. An hour after Heidi gives birth, she's out the door because she goes back to Heidi and Shane's house. She has keys to their house. She stays the night in Heidi and Shane's house, planning all this. This woman was evaluated when she was checked in to the police station. She was evaluated. They asked her questions around her mental health. They say she has some mental health things, some mental health issues that she's been diagnosed with, but she's not actively seeking help for her mental health. She is bipolar, maybe diagnosed a few years ago, 10 years ago, but she's not actively seeking help for this. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady was crazy from the start. What the little information we have from the police affidavit, we add that with a little information that Jay released, a little nugget that says that she's making phone calls from the jail to her mother, that her lawyers have asked her to quit making phone calls to her mother. Now, this is not fact as far as dad with the phone comes. I think Jay's got some good sources. I think I know who she's talking to. This person related close to the family. She's I find it interesting that anyone would know what the jailhouse conversations of Megan were outside of the jailers and the prosecuting attorney. There's a couple of things. Phone calls are all recorded, but those phone calls are listened to live. And if any information comes out that is prudent to the prosecution, the police officers in that jail are going to use that information. Let me tell you something. When they arrest you, you have the right to remain silent, or anything you say while in the custody of the sheriff's department who's housing you can be used against you. Every phone call, every conversation you have with yourself in your cell, they can listen to. Most cells have cameras and they have little speakers and they can listen to you in your cell. They're going to use anything and everything against you. Every phone call, every letter, every conversation you have close to a recording device, if they are listening, they are recording. If they are listening, they will testify that you made these statements. And so Megan, through Jay's source, is making statements to her mother that This is a misunderstanding. That's her baby. Megan's mother is supposedly agreeing that this is a misunderstanding, that this is all going to be cleared up. What I can tell you about Megan's mother, I don't know much, but I do know this. She married a child sex offender who was a registered sex offender. She is a mother of 9 children. That's a lot of kids. It's hard for moms to accept things. It's hard for moms to accept things. So we have to give some leniency to the family of Megan. I do not have to give leniency to the MF or herself. Let me tell you why. They found a body in her trunk. She was found in possession of Margot Carey. She doesn't get a pass on Dad with the Phone. I'm going to give the family a pass. We'll still state some facts about this, but you got to understand, one, the jailhouse phone calls of Megan are going to be held close, tight knit to the prosecution if they choose to use them. So you have to take stuff for what it is. But I wouldn't doubt that this girl isn't under some delusion that that's her baby still. She came and convinced herself to do this. She convinced herself to kill someone she had known for 20 plus years and kidnap their baby. She's not right. That's not normal. Somehow the switch was flipped. Something changed. Some chemical imbalance, maybe the affidavit and some of the stuff that was released today suggest that she may have been under the influence of something, even though she denies being under the influence. So she says she wasn't under the influence of any drugs, but they also turn around and say that her demeanor and the way that she's speaking to them through some of this paperwork is that she could have been under the influence of something. This girl is not right. There's something wrong with her. And so as this information begins to get released, this is just a fraction of what we're going to see. I have a feeling this is going to trial because I have a feeling they have a witness. I have a feeling that they're not going to make a deal with her. And if they're not going to make a deal with her, the public defender is going to tell her the best option you have is to go to trial. And this is where we're going to look at. Now, this is speculation. I'm about to speculate. People don't like when I speculate, but I'm going to speculate. I speculate that right now, Megan is undergoing a lot of tests. Because they've postponed her first appearance in front of a judge, I speculate that the defense has come in. They have seen something that there's an angle that they may be able to use as a defense, whether it be listen, don't ever worry. Megan MFer will never step foot out of a facility. She may not get put in a maximum facility, but unless she gets a deal, unless they make a deal with her, unless she's the one that turns around and testifies against someone else, if there's someone else, there's no way that woman ever steps out again. They're not going to let her out. She has demonstrated behavior that is 100% psychotic, psychosis. She fits with the same. They will forever talk about Crystal Lee Kinney, Patrick Frazee, and Magen Fieramusca in the same sentence. I call her MFer for short. So she's never getting out. Now, the question and how they lock her up will be determined by how good her defense is. If her defense goes down the insanity route of a postpartum psychosis, they're going to have to prove probably she was pregnant or that she believed she was pregnant. See, they may be able to give that postpartum psychosis to someone who believes so strongly that they're pregnant, even if they're not pregnant. And if they go down that road, there is a chance Megan goes to a mental institution instead of a state-run prison. She'll go to a state-run mental institution. Now, although the food is the same, the security would all be the same, she'll get some drugs. She'll be closely monitored by doctors. Other than that, state-run mental institutions for people that are there, state mandated for criminal offenses, they're pretty tight. They're not fun places. And the worst part about it is you're not the craziest one in the house. Like when you go to prison and you're this kind of crazy, you might actually be the craziest one in the house. But if she actually gets committed to a state-run hospital or a state-run facility, mental facility, she may not be the craziest one in the house. There's some option you have to run with her there. So, okay, I've been ignoring chat. I'm sorry. It's my understanding that authority has an additional person under arrest for this crime. Sophia, the first reports absolutely that they have someone else in custody. We haven't heard much more out of that. The implication in the affidavit is that someone was driving the vehicle when Heidi got in because Megan was in the passenger seat. So, one thing that we know for sure, they have not released a second name. As soon as the second name is released, obviously we're going to see mugshots. But as of right now, they have not released a second name. There's a couple of reasons why that could be. They could have someone that they're going to turn state's evidence. So one, they may have someone in custody that's going to actually testify against Megan, and they wouldn't release that name. That person could be an adult or a minor. The affidavit talks about getting in the passenger side, which indicates another person could be involved. I found that the motion to seal arrest affidavit. Oh, crap. I think there's a second person. The question would be, I want to see something real quick. Specifically the location of two missing persons that has not been definitely confirmed. The public release of an affidavit would allow the suspect ample opportunity to move or destroy any evidence related to the offense. The kidnapping. The investigators believe that once the suspects, I don't know, but you're writing there. You got to write in a book. I want to thank you for praying. My granddaughter, Alexis, she came home Sunday. I don't know how long she will be here. She has been living from one person to another. Cindy, when did we pray for? Did we pray on Saturday and she came home Sunday? Or when was that we prayed? It might have been New Year's. I don't remember when we prayed, but that's awesome news, Cindy. I'm glad I read that chat just now. Made my day. The somebody says number 23. Yeah, no, the implication of a second person, MFer left the hospital no more than 1 hour after Heidi Broussard delivered. Yeah, she was out. That's on number 23. Press conference returned to multiple sites that were investigated that sure sounded like someone was cooperating. We know Megan isn't. Well, we know that Christopher was talked to, and we know that the black SUV people were saying, hey, they're following this black SUV around, and they followed that black SUV to the target. We know all of the information that came out from that. MFer. Crystal says MFer. That's what we call her from now on. I'll probably end up calling her Megan too, but she goes by Megan Humphrey. She goes by Magen Fieramusca, whatever her name is. I call her MFer for short. She's an MFer in my book. But she might went to her apartment when she left quickly. Now, here's what we know. She had keys to Heidi's apartment. Hashtag released in the affidavit. So they talk about this. She had keys left to her because she stayed at Heidi's apartment the day the baby was born. The affidavit says she did not return those keys to the apartment. So she had keys. Could it be the cousin she went to the beach? Now, listen, I don't think she went to the beach, cowgirl up. I think that's a lie straight out of the devil's mouth. That's the lie she tells both Chris and she tells the police. She doesn't go to the beach. The Texas Rangers actually ask her about the discrepancy in her story because she says she wasn't in Austin on the 12th, but the phone pings put her at and close to. I could take y'all there on Google. They have a cell tower that is literally right across the street from the apartments. She was at or around the apartments on the 12th. They also have video footage at 9:00 ish of her in the apartment complex. On top of that, they have surveillance ID, license plate ID readers between Austin and Houston on the highway that not only put her they probably have 2 or 3. Listen, I'm pushing on y'all like I'm aggravated at my dog. I'm not aggravated at my dog. I'm not aggravated at y'all. They have multiple ID readers along the highway. They just let us know about one. This is one of those things they did in the Patrick Frazee case that very few people ever caught on to. They let us know about one phone ping up in Idaho when the truth is they knew all these phone pings all the way along. They had the phone pinging all the way along to Idaho, all the way up there. And so when they release stuff in this affidavit and they say, oh, well, we had one phone ping with her, or we had one ID reader that got her license plate. They may have had 10 ID readers get her license plate. They're just letting us know. All they need is one, right? All they need to do is contradict her story enough to get a warrant. Now, we read this entire police affidavit that leads us up to the arrest warrant, and that arrest warrant actually happened when they got on the grounds and they could smell the decomposing body. And they said, we need an arrest warrant specifically for the vehicle. And so they got an arrest warrant specifically for the vehicle. They open the trunk and identify a female with long hair who had been stuffed in a black duffel bag. This is where it becomes very real. You have to sit back and understand that we're not talking just about a crazy woman who kidnapped a stranger's baby. She killed her friend of over 20 years, stuffed her in a duffel bag, and left her in a car trunk for a week. For a week. Now, you and I would ask the question, why didn't the boyfriend smell this? There's a couple of reasons. One, if you've never smelt a dead body, you're not going to know you're smelling a dead body. Some people don't know what death smells like. And so it could be that he's absent. It could be that he didn't care. It could be that he never walked out in the backyard. It could be a number of things. But for whatever reason, Chris Green doesn't smell a dead body, but the Texas Rangers do. But you all know that cops got freaking dog noses. They walk up to your car from 20 feet away. You may have not had an alcohol drink for 2 weeks, and they're going to smell alcohol. Yeah, they may walk up to your car from 10 feet away. You may have never smoked weed, and they're going to smell weed in your car. So the cops, I'm not saying that they smelled the body. They smelled the body. They got the nose of the dog. All right. It's interesting to me that Chris never once saw Megan. Chris explains why he never once saw Megan bare belly. He says, I saw the belly grow. I felt her belly. It was hard, but I never saw her bare belly. because they weren't dating at the time. According to Chris, it backs up the stories that he was the landlord. She lived there, but this was just a roommate situation at this time. They had broke up. This girl's crazy, man. This girl is crazy. Should we take a phone call? Let's take a phone call. Who wants to call in? Y'all want to call in, Dad, with a phone right now? Get your questions in. Let's take a phone call. If you want to call in, you can call in. There's the number. We're going over the Heidi Broussard case. Phone lines are open. We'll see how fast y'all are. We'll see who calls in first. Some of y'all are laying in bed watching. You're like, I can't call in. I want to be in chat. I can't call in. My husband's right next to me. Some of y'all had a couple glasses of wine tonight, and y'all are like, I shouldn't call in, but y'all are already trying to dial. Oh, shoot. Phone ringing. Not yet. Y'all probably shouldn't call. If you've had too much to drink tonight, you don't want to be that one. Don't be that dialer. My phone's been blowing up today. It's been a busy day. A lot of information came out with this affidavit. 2627 people are saying, if you haven't got the Lisa, call in, please. What has Lisa been asking? What should we ask Lisa? Let's look. Call Lisa. Who's Lisa? What's Lisa saying? Her son, yes. Our son are just a few months apart. Lisa, if you want to call in, call in. No, I did not. Let's see. I'm just trying to see. Everybody trying to get you to call in. You don't have to call in if you don't want to. I was trying to see if I missed any questions. I don't think I missed any questions. Oh. Lake Charles, Louisiana. You're live with Dad with a phone. Oh, somebody. Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
Good. How are you? So where are you calling tonight from?
I'm calling from Lake Charles, Louisiana.
So did you know Heidi?
Yes, I did know Heidi. She grew up with my girls.
Wow.
It was in between my oldest and then my second to oldest.
What are your thoughts? What kind of are your thoughts about all this?
I think Megan was just severely jealous of Heidi for her relationship, for her children's, for her family. They had a strong family, and she just wanted to be her.
Yeah. You think that it was just straight jealousy when it comes to that side of things? And if it is one of those things where she grew up with her, she saw this strong family kind of throughout their relationship.
A ton of friends, and she had a big heart. She loved to sing. She loved people. She would give you the shirt off her back, and her family and friends are just like that.
What's your name?
My name is Renee.
Renee. Okay. We had someone else in chat. People thought you were one person. So, that lady's like, it's not me. So
I just
Renee.
I'm the one that told you to come fishing in our pond.
Ah, gotcha. But you live in Lake Charles and grew up in that area, or were around. Your girls grew up with Heidi, and so
at our house with the girls. My girls would spend the night at her house. I've been knowing Tammy and David for 25 years.
Wow. I sometimes I get I get a little quiet when I'm talking to real families because, like, it's one thing for internet people to talk about these cases, but I really
Oh,
want, I want to stay respectful with you and people
oh,
that
you're
are
fine.
close.
You're
So,
fine. I'm so grateful for the job you do, the job that Jay does. I mean, you're the only two people that I follow. I didn't even know that this was on like YouTube or Facebook until all this happened.
okay.
So,
Yeah, so I try to be respectful in that so that because I know this is real for you. This isn't just an internet thing or a YouTube thing. This is
no,
someone you knew that been in your
and my
house.
kids, my kids knew her, and our oldest daughter lives in St. Louis, Missouri, and my kids had to one of them called me and said, "Hey, Mom, did you see the thing about Heidi?" And I just hadn't been on Facebook for a couple of weeks, just decluttering my house.
Yeah,
Now that all
no.
four kids are grown and successful, productive young adults and living on their own, getting rid of all their stuff. So she called me and asked me about it. And I'm like, no, I didn't see that. She's like, Mom, that's Heidi. I'm like, Heidi who? And she's like, Mom, Heidi Broussard. I'm like, well, let me go look it up. So she tagged me in the post, and that's how I found out about it.
Okay. So this
Yeah,
what so you found out about this through Facebook, not through the news or anything.
no, it was on Facebook before it was on the news.
Yeah.
KPLC, our news channel, they a little slow.
Were you able to go to any of the services or the
I
candlelight?
went to the visitation,
Okay.
and I mean it was nice. They had a ton of people. I mean, it was very, very sad, but I know she's at. I know she's, in heaven.
What's a memory you have of Heidi? Something that not any something good. Tell us about.
Oh my gosh, Heidi always sang, all the time. She was funny. She would come out here. They kind of lived out. She grew up. Let's see, in like South Lake Charles, but kind of in a rural area. We live in the country. Okay, people call me before they come to my house.
Gotcha. They don't come. They're just not going to show up at your house. They're going to plan.
Not gonna show up. So she would, come out here, and I mean, we had pigs and horses and goats, and they'd be outside all day long. They would you didn't have to worry about them. Sit in front of a TV, playing a bunch of video games, and outside from dusk till dawn.
When was the last time you can remember actually physically being there with Heidi? It may have been years ago.
Yeah, it was probably her junior or senior year.
Okay.
Because my kids, they all went to church since, let's see, 31 years. So they grew up in church together. They went to.
Oh my goodness.
My daughter was on the youth group where she met this girl. Okay.
Oh, so did your daughter know? Does your daughter know Megan?
My daughter was my oldest one. We call her our little drama queen. Okay. She was in the sick bay most of the time.
Okay.
At church camp, so I'm grateful for that because I don't know. My daughter, I have some that are followers. I have some that are leaders. That one was a follower, and so. But Heidi made friends everywhere she went, and she always remembered everybody. She would talk to anyone. You have children, and you know how all their personalities are different.
Yep.
So, just that little helpful attitude, grateful, thankful, happy. And I think about the 11th grade is when we had stopped going to the church where we all went before. And that's when they kind of stopped hanging around together.
So like your girls, did they go to school with her too, or was it mainly around this youth group church thing?
It it was mainly youth group. My kids went to
A
a
different.
school that's like kindergarten through 12th grade.
Okay.
Heidi went to like a elementary school, a junior high, and then her high school she went to LaGrange, because I had asked my daughter, because I didn't think she went to Barb, and she said, "No, Mom, she graduated from LaGrange." I said, "Okay," because I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Uh, but just a all around good person.
Well, we're definitely lifting you guys up in prayer, and I know it's taken on a real international, national kind of media thing. So a lot of people are being touched by Heidi's story and who she was. I'm glad you called tonight. It's fun to hear a little bit more about Heidi. We're gonna hear plenty. We're gonna hear plenty about Megan and what was wrong with her, but to really remember Heidi is something special. So thank you.
You're welcome, and congratulations on having your granddaughter with y'all.
Yeah. Well,
Grandbaby.
that's my daughter.
Oh, that's your daughter.
Yeah.
Oh,
That.
I thought
Oh,
your granddaughter.
when you saw her walk in earlier. Man, how old do you think Dad with a phone is? They call me a
Oh,
dad. They don't call me Papa yet.
no, the one you were saying that y'all were praying about or something.
Oh no! So that was somebody watching. Their daughter had run off, or their granddaughter had run off, and we prayed for him, and she came back. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
okay.
somebody. That's
I
a
was
listener. I was reading. I'm sorry. I confused. I was reading text.
You look very young to be a grandfather.
No, I'm not a grandpa. Not yet. Not yet.
Well,
So,
the blessing to not strangling your teenagers.
well,
Okay.
yeah. Now we got to talk to my wife about that because her and my oldest daughter they get into it sometimes.
Is she 13?
She's like 11 going on 16, I think.
Oh yeah, that's
So
it. Hey, I had a. I'm telling you,
yeah, it's kids are fun. Kids are fun.
kids are
So
just they're resilient. They don't back down with their mamas. They know what buttons to push.
yep, absolutely. They don't
Yeah,
argue with
my
me
oldest,
very much. Very few times do my kids argue with me, but they will
they know they're
definitely.
not gonna get away with it.
Yeah. So, well, thank you
Well,
so
you have a
much for your
blessed
call.
I'm gonna go back and listen to your podcast
I
now.
know. Hey, I'm so glad you called in. I know people are glad to hear more about Heidi. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye bye. All right, people calling in. So that was someone from Lake Charles. Her children grew up with Heidi in church, 31 years in the same, church. And then if you're still in Leslie, if you want, I guess, Leslie, you want to call, you can call in. My number is on the screen. That's a real number right here. You're going to call my living room. You're going to be talking to me and everyone else. So I'll answer your call if you call. If anyone else calls in, I don't know how I'll cut them off. I'm not going to put your phone number, so you don't have to block your number. I don't put your number online, at least not yet. But thank you, Renee, for calling in. Yes, bless you. I got another call from Lake Charles. You're live with Dad with the phone. Who am I talking with?
This is Lacey.
Lacey. I keep saying your name
Yes.
all kinds wrong. I won't say it wrong anymore,
It's
Lacey.
fine.
I got it
It's
now.
fine. It happens all the time.
So, how are you? How are you kind of related or involved, or how did you know?
I actually knew Heidi later in life. We met around our 20s. Like everyone's kind of saying, Heidi had a very free spirit, and she would make friends with anyone. And so when I say that she had friends everywhere, she really did, and she made friends everywhere she went. And we became friends through other mutual friends, and she was a beautiful person. I don't want to say anything about she who shall not be named because she doesn't deserve our attention. But Heidi was a beautiful person, and those babies were her life.
Yeah.
And it's very sad. It's very sad.
I can
It's
I
still,
can hear it. I can hear it. I can hear your pain. And I know that
it's still very surreal that, I mean, I was watching the news and it was on NBC nightly news, and it's hard to see her face. You know, you never think that something like that is going to happen to someone so close to you. And we lost touch um, after she moved to Austin, but we kept in touch after she had Silas, because we have sons and they're a couple of months apart. And we just talked a lot about, becoming new moms, and it's scary. And I just wanted to tell her congratulations, and we talked back and forth for months about raising a new baby. We both had boys, and you know, we kind of lost contact after that. Life happens, but she was a beautiful person. She had a beautiful soul. She had a beautiful heart. She loved everyone that she came into contact with, and she saw the best in everyone.
do you have like what's your favorite memory when you think of her? Is there like something, a situation with you two?
It's not a situation. It's just her
Just her?
smile. She would walk in the room, and if she had a bad day, you would never know. You would never know it, because she always had a smile on her face. She always had a smile on her face. She was always happy, and she would always put others before herself. If she was having a bad day and you were having a bad day, it was about you. It wasn't about her. She was going to make you feel important and not even worry about herself. She was very much a helper, and she wanted to help people. So I just want to say thank you to you and to Jay for covering this and for getting the word out, because not gonna lie, our news station here in town's not that great. And
You ain't got to say it. You ain't got to say it. It's like that all over the country. Everybody knows what you're saying. And
it's
so
it's really sad that um you know the word didn't get around and out in the media until kind of after the fact. And I listened to Jay's live when everything happened, and my heart sank.
yeah. No, it's definitely one of those things where it's changing now, and when it comes to stuff like this, definitely social media moves a lot faster than media and
Yeah.
even the police and stuff. But to hear things from people that knew Heidi, because like I said, we're gonna get to know everything about MF, but to hear things about Heidi and to hear people who knew Heidi and to that were in contact with her, it is not a surprise to me that individuals like Heidi will touch the world in their death. I'm always I always wonder what would they have done if they weren't taken from us early, because to hear the lives that are being touched by the story of Heidi and who she was and how she was, and even when I listened to um, I listened to the prayer, the vigil they had there. I don't know if you were able to go or attend any of those services, but to listen to people tell stories and to sing her favorite song, that's really what people want to remember Heidi for who she was. And without you guys sharing a little story, a little glimpse, a lot of us don't ever get that. So thank you so much.
And that's kind of why I just called in. I don't want to talk about
Yeah,
that evil woman. I just want everyone to know how beautiful she was, and that she's missed. She's very missed. So
can I just say a prayer for you real quick?
absolutely.
Father, I just lift up Lisi right now. I ask that you put your arms of compassion around her. I ask that you put your understanding around her, Lord. Bring peace where there seems that there isn't any peace. Father, I pray you shield her eyes and you shield her heart, Father, and I ask that you just cover her family. But I ask that you allow her to be Heidi's light around Lake Charles as she speaks about Heidi to even her friends, and just reminisce on the beauty that Heidi was. And I ask that you allow her to do that, but bring peace in her life, Lord. And I pray for her son, and I pray for her family. I pray a protection around you, Lisi. And thank you so much for calling. So
Thank you.
just bless
Thank you for
you.
listening. I appreciate it.
No problem. Well, thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye bye. It's hard for me. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'd rather take a drunk caller than someone who knew these people, because this becomes so very real. Like when I was covering Kelsey Barrett's case, it was real because it was down the street from me. But to begin to talk to people who knew Heidi, I don't know that I'm cut out for that stuff. My heart's too soft. I won't get sleep tonight. I'll be praying for Lisi all night. I'll be praying for Renee all night. I'll be praying for them all night, simply because it's real. Those are real people affected. It's crazy. Take my phone number down. Thank you guys. Thanks for calling in, you guys. I don't pay attention a lot of times to chat, and so when you guys were in chat talking, and and all the chats going, people are like, there's someone in here that knows. I don't ever I don't ever want to obligate. I don't ever family, friends. Um, Although I love to hear stories of Heidi, I love that. I absolutely love to hear the stories of Heidi. It has got to be it's a completely different world for someone who actually knew Heidi to call into some show on the internet, right? That's a different world, right? A lot of us in chat, there's some people that in chat I don't moderate this too, and you got to be careful, not because of, you got to be careful what you're saying, because family could be watching this. I mean, it is very likely that the family is going through the worst times of their entire life, and that they're not sleeping well, and that they're up late and tossing, that they're on the internet, that they're scrolling through videos. And so I am so cautious when we begin to speak of Heidi and the family and friends that were flesh and blood with them, that you got to remember this is such a real story that's going to live forever. And there's a little baby that's going to grow up without a mother because of some of these things. Golly. Freak me out crazy. Take me off camera. I don't even want to talk about that fucking MFer anymore. I reserve the right to use that word with very few instances. But when I talked about KK, I used it a little bit, and I can already tell you that when I start thinking about the pain that freaking Megan MFer has caused, I might use the F word every once in a while. I apologize. It's awesome to hear about Megan's faith. It's awesome to hear about the people that surrounded Megan, not Megan, fucking bitch, Heidi. It's awesome to hear about Heidi's faith. because the people that surrounded Heidi and knew Heidi and the stories that we hear come out about Heidi are all about her faith and where they met at church. And I don't know Heidi's stance or where she stood in her faith. We do know that Margot had already been to church. We do know. So Heidi had a faith. And with that faith comes a belief in what happens in the hereafter. And so to hear friends and family have a belief of where Heidi is now, that brings comfort. But in that same breath, in that same religious, in that same belief system, and those same things that these people learned at church camp and at churches together, they have a place that is reserved for pure evil. They have a place reserved in the hereafter and the age to come. Man, when you mess with children, and trust me, messing with a mother, you automatically put yourself in a category of messing with children. I am glad there is a Gehenna, there is a hell, there is a place for people like MFer. Oh. It's a crazy day. It's a crazy, crazy day. It's 11 o'clock. Are we hitting midnight? Y'all got another hour in you? Do you feel like this thing's dragging on? Should I get the heck off and go to bed? I ain't going to bed. I can't sleep. Probably nothing on Netflix. Man, I did 2 hours with Jay earlier. Do what? You're here for a reason. You're here to help understand, to get the facts. You're here to help those missing people come home. I want to solve one for sure, Lady D. I think I'm still on the schedule. I'm supposed to meet with Mindy Lee's mother tomorrow. If you don't know the story of Mindy Lee, I'll be doing more updates on this, but I would like to be the head coach, though. You're 1 in a million, buddy. Thank you, Cowgirl Up. I'm actually 1 in 7 billion, but who's counting anyway? Just joking. Just joking. Hey, there's Jamie. You've probably been here the whole time. I just saw your chat though. Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook. If you guys haven't already, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. Variations of Dad with the Phone, or my real name on Twitter, Michael E. Dalton. I have a couple of Facebook groups. The group you probably would be most interested in joining is the Dad with the Phone group. So I have a Dad with the Phone page, like I'm broadcasting live to there. Many of you are watching from that page, but I also have a group where there's discussion going on about many cases, not just one single case. It's not a group designated to one single case. If there's a case you want talked about. You could post it in that group. I might see it and might talk about it. I don't just grab every case that comes. I don't grab every missing persons, but that's a place where a lot of people gather that are Dad with the Phone followers. So if you do want to put the I think what's her name put the group Jamie what's her name Jamie put the link in the chat. So on YouTube you can go find that Facebook group. On Facebook you should be able to find it straight from the Dad with the Phone page. Also, I released the link, and it wasn't working for a second, but I released the link for the PDF of the police affidavit. This is the official PDF that was released to the media, came straight from the cop shop, or the prosecuting attorney. Probably it actually came from the DA's office, but that link is listed. You can grab that if you want the PDF version. One thing, if you want to help, if you actually want to be a help, you can go to my Facebook page. Again, Dad with the Phone. The link's right there. On my Facebook page, there's a section where you can give a review. It doesn't cost you anything. I'm not asking you to join a membership. I'm simply asking you to say a few words about what you think about me. If you don't like me, that's a place you can actually go as your real self and tell me you don't like me. If you like what you're seeing, you can go on there and give a review. It helps, and so I give you that option. This isn't my full-time job yet, but I do a lot. Like I said, I've done 3 hours today, and I love it. I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue to follow cases. I already told you guys, if this thing goes to trial, I'm going to go to this trial. I'm going to fly down to Austin. I'm going to stay with Dad with the Phone peeps, and I'm going to go walk in, and I'm going to see MF face to face and go to this trial and give you guys info. If you want to help support Dad with the Phone, thanks, Jamie, for putting that link up. Jamie's put a link up to my PayPal. It's pretty simple. You can put in that address. You don't even have to copy the link. You can type it. It's pretty simple. And you can donate directly to help support. Motivation is anything, probably. I'm still going to do this, but people sometimes want to give, so we give them the option to give. I do it through PayPal because I don't think when you give, you want to give a super chat so that half of it goes to YouTube or half of it goes to a corporation. So I have elected to not monetize any of my channels simply because I'm not going to pay some corporation to get rich when people want to give to help support. So when you give to my PayPal, every dollar comes to me. And so there you go. That's why I do the PayPal, not because I don't need you to give. If you can't give, if you can't afford to give, don't mortgage your house. Don't use your credit card. Don't give to me. Simply go give me a review and I'll be happy. But if you feel obligated or you want to give, you can give to that PayPal. That's the most I'm going to say about that shit. It's weird. People get mad. They're like, you're trying to make money off of tragedy, and that it has nothing to do with it at all. So don't give if you don't want to give. You can go donate to Shane and go donate to Margot if you feel like you don't want to give to me. Give to someone. I will tell you that. If you're not giving in your life, you're missing something. Bottom line. So that's for another day. Give to something. I already gave my number out, so I'm going to throw those links back up. So if you want to find me on all those other sources. That's my stupid commercial for this one. What do y'all got? If there's any questions, thank you for stating thank you for stating that I don't need corporations to get bigger. I don't care. I like YouTube and Facebook, but I just don't like the idea that people give super chats and then the super chat, half of that goes to YouTube. So Please remember that you were one of the many YouTubers that didn't jump on the Shane being guilty. Don't think. Listen, I'm gonna make plenty of mistakes. Trust me. I'm gonna say something that offends someone. I try my best. I actually try my best to stay as far. I've had family members reach out to me. I have talked to family members of Megan. So, um, I'm not going to try to get involved with this families. I don't want to get involved with these families. So it's hard. I love hearing about Heidi though. I love what we heard tonight from people who knew Heidi, people who grew up with Heidi. I love to hear that. That makes me happy. It reminds me a little bit of Kelsey's case, because I talked with people during the Kelsey Barrett case that knew Kelsey. I talked with people that grew up with Kelsey, and it was fun to hear the stories of Kelsey flying. It was fun to hear the stories of Kelsey growing up, and so it is a refreshing, especially when we're sitting here talking about this mother effer all night, and then to end it off with a couple of phone calls about Heidi makes me freaking happy. That does make me happy. So, a lot of questions are going to come out. A lot of things that we're going to find out um, over the next couple of weeks. We're going to get that first court date come February 3rd. And yeah, to clear people, let me clear something up. Uh, Jamie asked, did Chris give cops permission to go inside the house, or did they? No, they did. The way that did they have to get a warrant? The way that they circumvented the warrant to enter the house was because they got Megan to admit that there was an infant in the house. And so they could use, there's a lot of things they can use on extenuating circumstances. So they knew the warrants, they had enough information about Megan that they had enough of information to get a warrant signed for an approval for surveillance, right? So they were surveilling, because you have to have a warrant to run surveillance like they were running. So they had a warrant to run surveillance, so they had information enough to get that warrant. But they didn't get a warrant for the house. The way they entered the house was because of a child safety issue. And then they actually talk about jaundice, which if women go look up jaundice, all of my children except for Ella had jaundice. Both Isley and Zane had jaundice, and not to the extreme point that they had to have like special lamps at the house or anything, but they did, like, we had to take them out in the sun and stuff like that. Jaundice is not a uncommon it's very common in newborns. I don't know all the ins and outs of it all, but it's not a uncommon thing. It's a pretty common amongst newborns. And so they use some sly wording. They use the fact that they had all this other information out. They use the fact that they had an eyewitness who saw a picture of Margot, Chris, and they quote him and they say, "That's the baby at my house." At that moment, no warrant needed. In a situation like this, they're not going to, once they had Megan out of the house, boom, they had, it's almost like they had free reign. Now, what they did do, and what they were very careful in doing, they would have had probable cause. People, you have to understand, they could have smelt that decomposing body, and that decomposing body would have been probable cause for them to search your car. They search your car on the side of the highway if they smell weed, right? Well, if they smell a dead body in the back of your car, they're going to search your car on the side of the highway without a warrant, but they have reasonable suspicion. Everything leading up to this, they had reasonable suspicion of what was going on in that vehicle. They waited for a warrant because they wanted locked, solid. It's easy to explain to a judge, we entered the house for the safety of a child without a warrant. No immediate danger happening at the vehicle. Let's get the warrant for the search warrant for that vehicle. We can go through that vehicle and find out what's in the trunk. So, according to the affidavit, the they didn't necessarily have any sort of permission, but that doesn't mean Chris didn't give him permission either, because they were sitting there talking to him, and when they showed him that picture and he identified that picture, they could have very easily said, hey, can we enter the house and look at this baby? And if he said yes, then they wouldn't even have to worry, because he is giving them permission to willfully enter the house that he's the owner of. I think the reasoning behind the timing is because I gotta blow my nose. Sorry, kids. Y'all gonna have to wait. I feel like I blow my brains out every time I blow my nose right now. I sneeze. I'm getting there. We're gonna end this at 1:30 or at an hour 30. I said this in Jay's live, and this comes from being raised by a law enforcement agent. A lot of you are new to Dad with the Phone. I am not a cop. I've actually been to jail in more countries than most people have visited. I am not a cop. But with that being said, I understand the ways of law enforcement because I grew up with a dad who was a cop. Not only was my dad a cop, he was a high-ranking officer amongst multiple agencies. Matter of fact, I might get my dad on to talk about this case specifically pretty quickly. Why not, right? Dad with a badge, come on, he'll do a good job. But the reason for this is the justification for my next statements. The same way that they approached Chris as he's leaving Target, instead of waiting for him to get to his car, instead of pulling him over for a traffic, the same way they approached Chris out in the open when they could see him, when they had control of the situation. This is why they didn't storm the house. They had surveyed the house. They had Chris. They had Texas Rangers close by, surveillance. They could have easily walked up, knocked on the door, kicked the door in. They could have run a no-knock warrant on that house. They had enough reasonable suspicion. The reasoning behind the way that it happened is because they knew the child was alive. All right? They knew the child was alive when they spoke with Chris. They knew the child was alive the way that Megan was talking to people. They knew what was going on. And so since they knew the child was alive, they said, let's let her come out. She came out for whatever reason. They approached her. Boom. They can go in the house for simply there's a child in there that's now left alone. We know there's an infant in there, and we know the only other person that was in the house was Megan. So when they got her out of the house, or when she came out of the house with the cell phone and the baby monitor, this is an opportune time for us to apprehend her without any chance of her being able to harm that baby real quickly. And so the reasoning behind the way they apprehended Megan is simply police training. It is simply the standard. They want to apprehend the suspect in the safest manner possible. So that's why it went down the way it did, because after reading the police affidavits, you realize they had enough information to get helicopter surveillance. We're not talking about like burning helicopter fuel is expensive. To put the bird in the air is pricey, but it's also the most effective way to run surveillance without being noticed. And so they could follow that SUV with the helicopter to target. They could circle the house. They could see the perimeter of the house. They found the car. So they did all of this stuff. So just so you know. Thank God she didn't hurt that baby. Yes. Drink that clover tea. Clear your head. I probably should. How'd she get her in the duffel bag? Is that true? Wait, Jamie, are you just joining? Really? Come on, Jamie. Let's get there. I'll show you in the affidavit where it's true. So police affidavit is pretty clear on this. Let me throw this up in full screen for y'all so you can see it. Says during the search of the 2015 Nissan Versa 4-door bearing Texas license plate GBS 4989. That's her license plate, not redacted. Texas Rangers Gary Phillips located a human corpse in the trunk of the vehicle. Let me rephrase that. This affidavit should read, Gary Phillips located Heidi Broussard. They may use official terms, but Gary Phillips located Heidi Broussard in the trunk of the vehicle. He recognized it as a female with long hair. Megan had shoved Heidi Broussard into a black duffel bag. The affidavit reads, the human corpse was shoved into a black duffel bag. The MFer, the mother MFer, who had known Heidi for 20 plus years, shoved her body into a black duffel bag in the trunk of her car. How'd she get her in the duffel bag? This is what leads me. This is one of the. We don't know everything. They got something. They got a lot of evidence. We know they got a lot of evidence. There are reports that are unsubstantiated, other than law enforcement has said out loud. My sources, who have sources in law enforcement, you guys know who who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the freaking media. I'm talking to the people that are on the ground there. This is where I'm talking to. I'm talking to 5 or 6, 7 different media organizations that have been covering this case. I'm talking to them directly. I'm trying to get as much information out of those puppets as I can. They probably won't talk to me if they hear me call them puppets, but it's late. They're probably not listening. They got to work tomorrow. Some of those puppets I like. I call Sam a puppet, but I love Sam to death. So don't get mad at me or offended. It's just dad with the phone BSing. But I'm talking to the guys that are as close. They're getting paid for this stuff. They're the ones that are releasing the information on the affidavits. They're the ones that are getting those media packets from law enforcement. And so they have become very quiet about a second suspect. But all of my sources in the Austin area, the Houston area, have said they believe and have heard from inside law enforcement that they have a second suspect. They have a blonde, right? In the Kelsey Barrett case. They don't have a blonde in this case, by the way. That was like me reminiscing. Uh, they have a second suspect. I believe that. I believe that to be true. I believe to have valid information on that. I believe that it's inferred. The question is, how much was the second suspect involved? Because the real kicker is the way that the story's being told, the little details that they're letting out, the little details about the body stuffed in a duffel bag makes you go, how does she do this? How does she get away with this? How does she This is funny now. Of course. Peppermint lemon wild turkey. I have all these things in my house right now. Should I go make me a homemade Pawpaw Garrett's homemade cough syrup? I should just pour me a big glass of whiskey is what I should do. Would y'all be offended if I poured a big glass of whiskey for a second? Y'all wouldn't be offended. Christmas whiskey's almost gone. Either I've had too much or somebody else did. It's hot. It's hot. Too hot. Too hot. I am hot too. Oh, it's hot. Nikki says, it's hot. Don't do it. I'm going to drink this whiskey. It's going to clear that nose up. Do you think there's a possibility that Heidi was still alive when MF put Heidi into the bag and then put her in the trunk? What cause of death, strangulation, or asphyxiation? Okay, so we know that the cause of death was ligature strangulation, which there's a couple, it could be with a rope, I believe. I'm gonna look up the definition, but I'm gonna try to get y'all the correct definition without just quoting off the top of my head. But I believe ligature strangulation means that there's something like a rope or a cable was used. Ligature strangulation. The definition of ligature strangulation is a type of strangulation occurs with the use of a mass that is not the body weight. In other words, ligature strangulation does not require suspension of the physical body. Instead, it requires the use of a cord object such as a rope. So that was the official cause of death of Heidi Broussard. So she wasn't stuffed in the bag alive. She wasn't forced in there. It was done in a sense of I have a feeling that if this, but they say it during suicide by hanging, correct? I'm not 100% sure. That's going off Epstein's trial, but anyways. Whew. Little proper 12 going down nice and smooth like. Turn my lights off so it's dark. I'm not putting myself on camera right now because I'm in the dark now. Cheers, my children. Take a snapshot. This is for medicinal purposes only. For all you haters out there, want to say something about that with a phone. This is medicinal purposes. You hear me right now? Whew. Warm it up and put some honey in there. Why would I do that? Ruin perfectly good whiskey. Just a bit of honey. That's supposed to help with all the drainage. How do you stuff a body in a duffel bag by yourself? Makes no sense. Oh, Wendy. This is where speculation comes in, okay? So, we do have a little bit of information. We know that at or around 9 o'clock is when Magen's vehicle is seen driving through the apartment complex. I'm muted just in time. I just let out 2 gorgeous sneezes. Make me feel better just sneezing a little bit. Y'all missed it. We know that 9-ish o'clock Magen's driving in the apartment complex. We know sometime on the 13th, she is back at her house. Sometime between 9 a.m. ish, when Heidi willingly enters Magen's back seats with Margot, according to eyewitnesses. We know that Magen's cell phone verifies she's in the area. These are things that have been released in the police affidavit. So The eyewitness account could be questioned. It could be. They could question that. They could bring doubt in there. 60 to 70% is what the lady says. I think 60 to 70%, that's who I can identify her, right? The vehicle is identifiable, but it's not 100% confirmed because there's no, they couldn't see the license plate, right? They didn't get a picture of the license plate. It's a vehicle matching the description of the MFer's vehicle. Between 9 o'clock ish and the following day on the 13th, when MFer shows up with her at her house with the baby, something happened to Heidi. Something happened in that 24 hours, give or take. Where did she spend the night that night? We know her story is that she had a baby at a birthing center. We know the truth is she had Megan and Margot, and there's a possibility that someone else was with them. Where did they go? We know that they pinged Heidi's phone starting on the 13th, the day after, and they pinged it for 48 hours straight. We know that the phone didn't respond. What we don't know, what they haven't released, what they haven't clarified in the affidavit is a lot of stuff. We know they have all of MFer's cell phone records. All of them. All of them. Go back all the way to the 11th. They got Google records. They got Google searches. We hadn't even started to talk about that. This girl was Google searching, trying to find out information about Amber Alerts. Don't y'all like it when I just step away and I don't even tell y'all? Like, has anybody ever been where I just left y'all? There's going to be a lot of technology that plays into this case on top of tons of physical evidence. Tons of physical evidence. Yeah, I love walking away for a second. Pretty much just know when I go silent, I'm blowing my nose and I'm sparing you. I know that there are dang YouTube channels that get famous off doing crazy, gross stuff like blowing their nose and eating spaghetti, but for some reason, I just feel like I should hit the mute button when I blow my nose. Getting a body in a duffel bag would be extremely hard without help. If rigor mortis, Wendy, has set in, if she gets shoved, if Heidi got shoved into the duffel bag after being strangled and rigor mortis hadn't been set in, I don't know. I'd have to go. I haven't read the physical makeup of Megan and Heidi. So before I can accurately give a assessment on whether or not Megan could single-handedly shove Heidi in the duffel bag, how does a friend of 25 years do this? How does this happen? We know the why, we know the motive. We don't have to speculate on the motive. The motive is clear. But how? Why? How does this happen? What is it in the human psyche, mind, spirit would allow someone to do this? How much have you checked out? How much has self-preservation left you to do this to your friend? I mean, for all purposes, Heidi comes down out of the apartments and willingly gets in the car with this monster. Just blows my mind. Something happened. They're going to go after the what of what that something was. People are going to study Fudge and MF. They're going to put her in a hospital. They're going to study her like a lab rat. Laced with Lacey's in the house, huh? I seen a couple other people I hadn't seen in a minute. Thanks for joining tonight. Coming over to Dad with a phone. Some of you peoples that haven't been here for a minute. So who else did I see earlier that I was like, oh shit, she's in the house. Who's in here tonight? A lot of people. Ro, you still kicking it in here? You were here early. Lots of women in the house tonight. Facebook, you're strong in here too, aren't you? Facebook and the YouTube. Somebody said, what would she have done to a stranger? We'll see you, Sophie. Thanks for joining tonight. It's been fun. Oh, God, I hate these cases. A lot of stuff to take in tonight. A lot of stuff to take in. Lace with Lacey asked for a thumbs up. You ain't got to beg for thumbs up. Shit, I bet I can't get 10 thumbs down. How many thumbs down I got right now? Let me go check. I'm going to check the YouTube. I bet I can't even get 10 of them. I ain't worried about no thumbs up. Thank you guys for doing whatever you do. You guys are awesome, by the way. Without you, we wouldn't do it. I got 2 thumbs down, 100 thumbs up. That's always fun. 92 thumbs, 93 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down. I like to know, because I get it pretty consistent thumbs down. Like I get a pretty consistent like 2 or 3 thumbs down. I love that the 2 or 3 haters I got, them some bitches are committed. They are committed. They come in and put a thumbs down on every one of my videos. Thank you for being committed, haters. I love it. Oh, y'all hitting it. Y'all got to hit 100. I got 96 and there's like 100 people watching. Oh, but this is just YouTube. There's some people over at Facebook. And if you're over at Facebook, stop and give me a review on Facebook. Y'all are hitting the thumbs up on Facebook and the smiles and the laughs and the cries. We've had a laugh, we've had a cry. You guys have made fun of me a little bit for my stuffed up nose. We've heard some great stories from people who actually knew Heidi. God, I want to hear some more Heidi stories. I hope there's some other YouTubers that get some Heidi friends on because I can't do all of them because I'd freaking cry. I'd be done. I'd be over. I was crying during both of those uh, friends of Heidi's. Oh, look. I just saw somebody come in that I'm going to give a shout out to. Once Upon a Crime in the West. Thanks for joining tonight. You are hilarious. By the way, you should do more live videos. I don't know what she was talking about, but she was talking about it in a bunch of different languages and a bunch of different accents. If I send you a link, are you going to come on right now and do a voice for me? Once upon a crime in the West. I listened to a little bit of her live the other day, and she was doing these impressions. I'm gonna tell you, I want her to do an intro for me. But thanks for joining tonight. Once Upon a Crime in the West. That's a long ass name, though. What's your acronym? What's the acronym for Once Upon a Crime in the West? First fireside you joined, Rachel. That's awesome. I was about to start a fire, like I was about to stoke the fire and turn the camera on the fire, but my wife was like, "It's already freaking hot." And I have to agree with her. I have shedded down to my tank top now. We want to get D-Clue on a podcast with you also. Yes, D-Clue has called in. We do need to do I'll have a panel with D-Clue. I would totally. Haha, yes, West. I have to. I don't like when more than three people get on. I don't even like three people on a panel. I asked Jay today because she wanted to. We did the affidavit reading, and we did the affidavit reading, and once the panels get full up, I talk too much for panels. So one or two people is good. Two people's good to throw stuff back and forth. You start clogging up a panel. That drama stuff, they like their panels. Right now, I feel like I could do voices with as stuffed up as my head is. My wife's got me doing yoga every day. This is a new one. I've been trying to get Smokey P on for a minute. Is he in here? Three's a crowd. It is a little bit of a crowd, depending on how good the talkers are. Yes, Yoga says. Honeybee says. Honeybee. Oh, Cowgirl Up's gonna send me some recordings of people in Vegas talking about Patrick Frazee, I think. DWAP doing the yoga? Wait for a video. Yeah. You better donate to some PayPal. I told people the only way, my wife released a picture the other day. So get video of me doing yoga. It's going to cost you girls for sure. I ain't releasing that video for nothing. That's going to be, you have to join my Patreon. Join my Patreon to see my yoga videos. Who do I sound like now? Oh, Lord, help my nose and my head. DWAP, I'm in Vegas. I'll be in Vegas March. I'm coming to Vegas in March. Should I say name? No, Bridget. You say that name, I'm going to block your ass. Right now. You think I'm kidding, too? That name comes out on my chat, you're getting blocked. DWAP in yoga pants. Oh, for sure. My app. Well, I don't even know what FOMHLMAO stands for. Spell that shit out. Are we doing voicemails tonight? Do I have voicemails? I think I do have a couple of voicemails, actually. Y'all want to hear a voicemail? Damn, where's my phone at? I do have a couple of voicemails. I don't know who called, though. Thank you. Thanks for the speedy recovery. Sending me that speedy recovery. I need it. I got a new one from Nicole this morning.
That's right, D-Wop. You just tell them what it is. It's your channel. You can do what you want. It is Nicole. Hi, how's it going? Anyway, the Kenneth Copeland thing was freaky, but enlightening. Anyway, have a blessed week. I probably won't ever call you again because you play my voicemail, and that is weird to me. And oh God, not okay. Anyways, blessings to your family. Have a great week. Good luck with your ventures, and peace out.
Okay, how about this? Does anybody want to take the bet that Nicole never calls back? Because I'll bet anyone that she calls me within the week, hands down. So she says she ain't gonna call back, but I'll if anybody wants to take the over the under on that and say she doesn't call back, I guarantee she calls back. Almost guarantee. Here's another one. Let's hear what this one is.
Hey, Pop. I want you to sit back with your wife. I want you to watch The Legend of Shelby, the Swamp Man. Trust me, it'll be worth it, okay?
Oh,
Just watch it.
this is this is Bush Beer. That was Bush Beer Lady. That was Bush Beer Lady. Because she told me about that later. Oh, I got a minute and a half from somebody. Somebody called me. I don't know who this is.
Hi, Tabitha Bowman. My name is Tay, and I'm from the Dish. I've been trying to get a hold of you actually since you had a certain person on the air. Anyways, what I would like to do is, I know you're following the Heidi Broussard case. I just saw you dropping it. I'm about to go live, and I would really like it if you would like to join my panel, and we can discuss this new drop of affidavit together, and plus I can give some information out. I'm going to go live in about 15 minutes. I don't know how to send you a link. I don't have your email address, but my email address is the dish K at gmail.com.
The dish
If you want
K.
to email me, that'd be great, and I can send you the link. It would be fabulous to have you up on panel. I really, really have been appreciating all of your hard work since way back when you were going out in the car, and etc. So if not, we'll catch up another time, and we'll discuss certain things that you had a person on that has some cold cases, and that's one of my specialties and everything like that. All right, so hopefully we'll have you on panel or in my room and chat, whatever you're comfortable with. Come on in, and let's keep the dish and the tea going and get justice too. Take care.
Oh, she called me earlier. That was at like 12:30. I didn't get that voicemail. I was way too busy to get on somebody else's channel. I would do somebody else's. I would go on another channel. I don't know who this lady. I don't know who that was. Do y'all know who she is? Do y'all know who that was? Y'all would know faster than I would. After I just got talking about how I don't go on panels, I feel bad now that I said that, because I would still go talk with her. So, but I don't know who that was. I have to go check out her channel. I thought maybe for a second it was the dish with Lish, but she would have said that. So I don't think it was Lish. I don't know. I'm confused. Y'all go do some research. Yeah, I don't think it was Lish. I think it was somebody else. But I'm going to look on YouTube real quick and see who the dish is. Watch them have like 200,000 subscribers. I'll be like, oh, shoot, I need to call her right now. If I cared about subscribers. It's not the dish with Trish. She didn't say it was her, because that's like some crazy pornography lady. The dish. Did anybody catch who that was? The dish that comes up for me is a big channel. I know, right? That big ass channel, Courtney.
I had to get paranoid, and then by the end of the night, I'm like, "Where?"
That's not the same girl, though.
Wait, when did the weed smoking come in? Is this new?
Yeah, these are like the dish with Trish is like a pornography site. Not for real, but it's like two girls in like a pink couch. Yeah, that's a pornography site. Who's the dish? I don't know who this lady was. Let's listen again. I couldn't really understand her accent. She'll call me back probably, especially when she finds out I played her voicemail. She'll be like, I can't believe you played my voicemail. I'll be like, you must not listen to Dad with a phone, because I play everybody's voicemail if they send me some shit. So don't get mad at me. I'm trying to see who this is.
Hi, Dad with the phone. My name is Tay, and I'm from the dish.
Tay from the dish.
Get a hold of you, actually.
Oh, this isn't Tay from the dish. She mentioned a K too. That's what I'm saying. The dish K. Let me look again. The dish K. But then did she say K or Tay? You gotta be careful. All these people coming out. Once upon a crime in the West. I can do that accent. All right. Once upon a crime in the West can do that accent for sure. That's what I thought she said. Should we listen to it one more time? This is a mystery now. Now we got to find this lady's YouTube channel. Now we got to solve a crime. We got to solve a case. Oh, look. Here we go. She said. Somebody sent it to me, maybe. What is that called? Shoot.
We are live on StreamYard. This is Tay from the Dish.
Oh, we found her.
Welcome, welcome, everybody.
She went for 2 hours.
Reproductive hormone. First of all, HCG is secreted by us. And the vehicle drove her away. And she saw that whoever, which I'm going to say Heidi and the infant, was not.
I'm gonna have to go check out this channel. I don't know. I'm still looking. Now I'm doing my own case breaking. Thanks for joining. If y'all are still here, it's because you ain't got nothing better to do. I'm actually just trying to figure out who this lady was that called me earlier that we just listened to her voicemail. Somebody has sent me. I finally found who she is now. So I'm just trying to get over to her channel. So her channel's called is Tay. See how many videos she's got up. See what she's been up to. She's been covering Heidi Broussard for a little bit. She goes back to she got quite a few videos up, quite a few lives, some little ones, some short ones. I'm always down to talk to new people just because you never know what you're going to get. You know, you don't know what these background of some of these YouTubers are. And so I'm always down to interview or talk with new YouTubers. But I got to be careful because there's so much freaking drama. And so I don't even, there's like, when it comes to cases, I want to be really careful because you get lumped in, right? You do a live video with somebody and they go somewhere with a case or they say something that you don't necessarily agree with. You can't really you don't want to start drama between that. So sometimes I got to be careful. I'm at the point now where I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff. I got a bunch of great podcasts coming up with Dad with a Phone that are going to be outside the crime genre. If I ever get my voice back, my head cold under control. Gosh, I got to get off this YouTube. Hey, thanks for watching. We got a lot of cool stuff coming your way. If you're just tune in, watch this replay, do what you do. Hey, thanks for joining. May you be blessed. Be blessed tonight. Be blessed. Get some sleep. I got to get some sleep.